Welcome.
Welcome back.
Gotta put this part 2 and 3 of the I work on a ship full of corpses, and I just found out why. It's I think it's both of these combined is about the same length as the first part, so about that length. Was it
Yeah,
like 40
we
minutes?
yeah, like we read the first part and then I think for the people who did watch the first part of this story, I mentioned some stuff like saying how I kind of hoped how it would have more parts because it felt very
Yeah,
abrupt.
dropped off like mid paragraph.
Yeah. So, we're just going to jump right into it and
Yup.
see where it goes.
I heard it. You know the doors of heaven sealing just for daring to understand? Daryl said, pain and sorrow bleeding from his voice. What did you learn, Daryl? We can go through the tapes together to help you through it. You know this, I said, pressing my ear against the door. Daryl had managed to steal everything dealing with today. The hard drive, the tapes, the vinyls, even the papers, hoarding them away in our shared room before he destroyed the door controls. I could hear him inside the room, smashing the tapes, tearing the paper, and attempting to scratch the vinyls. My mind burned with curiosity, slowly morphing into anger that he was hoarding the information I was seeking. It doesn't matter anymore. We lit up we're lit up like a lighthouse right now, surrounded by ships filled with remnants of the past, all trying to dock. Daryl said as he continued weeping from within the room, the crunching noise of tapes being stopped as as he a moment to sob. I mean, stopped as he took a moment to sob, I guess.
I think you just forgot to put the word there, yeah.
Yeah, I get it, buddy. Let's talk about it. We still need to go to work tomorrow, and I don't want to do all this alone. Don't leave me to do this all by myself, I said to the door, hearing him stop in his tracks. You need to get out of here. Use an escape pod and get out. We're not going to be alone in here for much longer, Daryl said, continuing his destruction of the recorded media. Why are you destroying the recordings? What if we needed them later? I retorted back, trying to get him on track. Back on track. I'll burn the tree before you can get a taste of its fruit, he responded. Fine, have it your way. I'm going up to the helm to get Shelby's help unlocking this door. We need those tapes, and I'm not just going to sit here, hearing you destroy everything, I snapped, turning around to make my way back to the elevator. As I navigated the hallways, I couldn't help but notice how weirdly silent it was on the ship. For 8,000-ton chunks of metal, today was just so quiet. No creaks of metal, no humming of the warp engine. Just my footsteps echoing down the empty hallways. I continued to walk until I felt my toes suddenly go cold. Then the rest of my body. A freezing chill, as if I had jumped into a frozen lake in the middle of winter, draped itself over my body. My skin, pores flectively closed to retain as much heat as possible. My muscles froze from the shock, my lungs constricting so tightly it felt like someone had reached inside and crushed them. My arm shot out to hold me upright, bracing my body against the wall to prevent me from collapsing to the floor. I turned myself around, attempting to walk back the way I came, to escape the growing cold traveling through my veins and into my bones. For just a moment, I could feel where my flesh ended and my bones began, as the cold began to penetrate the marrow within them. My teeth chattered as I tried to speak to Shelby.
Shelby? Help. There's... Sorry. There's a temperature issue. Please, warm the ship to 68 degrees. Based on statute T-249 of space usage. The speakers did not turn on. Didn't even crackle in response, but a wave of warmth did hit me. The cold being driven away from my body, I collapsed to the floor, breathing heavily as I tried to get every ounce of warm air into my lungs. What the fuck was that? I muttered, as I pushed myself back to my feet, scanning the environment around me. For the cause, maybe a burst coolant pipe? Yet, I didn't find anything. Though, in the corner of my eye, I could see an outline of Daryl standing down the hallway, staring at me with a look of pity. His hands bloodied from his attempts to scratch the hard vinyl, with his now destroyed nails. Ugh. Yuck. Wait, what? I looked where I saw him. Only an empty hallway greeted me. Whatever I saw, it was gone now. Immediately, my mind began to rationalize it. I did just almost freeze. Perhaps it was my mind playing tricks on me. I did read about people hallucinating before they freeze to death. Maybe it was an after effect. Whatever it was, I wasn't sticking around to find out, turning my walk to the elevator into a steady jog. After a few minutes, I made it to the elevator. It greeting me with its warm, harsh lights. I entered and pressed the floor 1. The helm, the doors scraped. Sorry. Jesus. The doors scraped closed as the elevator... Jesus. Hang on, let me take a sip of water real quick. hang on.
You got this.
The doors scraped closed as the elevator carried me up towards the top of the ship. The helm always pissed me off. What used to be a circular room with fortified glass on the walls was now filled with server racks and obscuring the outside. The only place on the ship with windows, and instead of giving it to us, the workers, they gave it to Shelby, an AI without an optic component. Is that like? Does that mean like a camera?
Optic is like a visual, yeah.
I know what like. Oh yeah, okay. Though, despite being new age, the only way to talk to Shelby were through an audio component, which had its own issues. To this day, it still couldn't understand a Scottish accent. This guy's Scottish? That's funny.
Maybe.
Or a terminal connected directly to the AI. There we could type our requests and send them to the AI without having to go through the audio software. I walked up to the terminal, pulled the mic to my mouth, and spoke into it. Shelby, I asked for your help earlier. Oh, sorry, I was reading that. Shelby, I asked for your help earlier, and you didn't respond. Are the mics working on all floors? Asked, only to be met with silence. Oh. Shelby, can you unlock the crew quarters? Daryl destroyed the panel and I can't get back in. I asked again, only to be met with silence again. Shelby, can you say anything back to me? You useless bits of moronic intelligence. I screamed into the mic. Enjoy your day off. I can't wait to find out what you're going to learn tomorrow. Shelby happily responded from the ship's speakers. This fucking AI is so passive aggressive.
You bitch. I threw the mic back into the console. The screen flickered on with line after line of Shelby talking via the console, but I couldn't take this stupid AI anymore. I turned back to the elevator, using it to make my way back to the crew quarters. Sure, I couldn't get back in, but I'd rather sleep there than spend the night in the experimentation room, or worse, the mortuary. I navigated the halls once again, the walk feeling a bit longer than before, but that was probably the exhaustion setting in after a full day of weirdness. The hope that Daryl had opened the door was quickly dashed when it still refused to respond to any request to open. I sighed, taking off my hazmat suit so I could bundle it up to use as a pillow. The refreshing cool ship air would have given me comfort, but after almost freezing to death, I'd grown a small attachment to the air. At least it was warm. Within the room, I could still hear Daryl crying as he started tearing up the papers. Please, anyone, come save us. I don't want to be here anymore. I shouldn't still be here. I heard him weep from within the room. Hey buddy, I can hear you from out here. Remember, you have a family that would love to see you again. I said to the door, my eyes closing as I attempted to sleep on the nice, cold, hard, and utterly uncomfortable floor. I could feel the metal pressing into my body, cutting off circulation, forcing me to toss and turn to unblock it. Thankfully, this did lead to a night without any dreams. Unfortunately, it also led to a night with barely any sleep. I did manage to hear Daryl's last words before he stopped destroying the evidence of today and finally fell asleep on the nice softer than the metal on the nice softer than the metal I was sleeping on cots. Lucky bastard. We gave it away for it to speak without speak. We gave a way for it to speak without speaking, he muttered. The only sounds that followed were a mix of groans and noises I couldn't make out. The night blurred between snores and shifting into slightly less uncomfortable positions, interrupted hours later by Shelby's voice on the speakers. It still came out, clear and velvety, sweet and weirdly charming. Good morning, Daniel. Let's start today with a bang by bringing out Corpse 244, Shelby exclaimed happily. I groaned as I got up, my body aching from a garbage night on the floor. Pressing my back against the door to start putting on my hazmat suit, I felt my support vanish as I fell backward into the crew's quarters. Daryl had opened the door. My head slammed against the metal floor, pain bursting like a crushed grape. I clutched my head, groaning and turning, tears beginning to appear in my face. Daryl looked down on me in silence. His face showed an odd lack of emotion. He had already put on his hazmat suit. Hurry up. It's your turn to get the specimen, Daryl said, his voice flat and monotone.
Fuck off. First, it's your turn. And second, after the shit you pulled yesterday, you're getting the fucking corpse every day till we leave. I responded angrily, my hands still pressed against my head as the pain slowly subsided. Daryl grunted as his hands gripped my torso, pulling me up from the floor and back to my feet. It's your turn. Do it, he said, turning around and walking. Do it now. Turning around and walking out of the room. Anger overcame the pain as I ran out of the room, only to be met with an empty hallway. Daryl had already vanished into the corridors of the ship. This motherfucker not real, bro. This guy's
He's a ghost, bro.
Yeah, he's not real. Fucker must have sprinted to disappear that fast.
So I would do, bro.
I muttered, my head still dizzy from slamming against the metal floor. I started to leave the room before stopping to turn and look at where Daryl had done to what Daryl had done to the material.
There you go.
From yesterday, my body froze. My neck muscles spasmed as I felt my body move against my will, preventing me from turning around. Everything in me told me not to turn around, not to see what was waiting in that room. I can always come back later to check again, I said to myself, making my way back down the ship's corridors. The exhaustion from the horrible night made the walk feel even longer than the day before. After 10 minutes, I finally made it to the elevator, which immediately opened. When I hit the call button... Weird. Didn't Daryl take this earlier? It should be on experimentation level, I said, pressing the mortuary level to start my day. The doors opened as the corpse walls greeted me. Though, today it felt different. There was something in the air as I pushed the gurney down the walkway. I felt as if the corpses were looking at me, their gray eyes only illuminated by the lights from the elevator. Doors closed soon after, robbing me of that warm, hard light, leaving only the dim walkway lights, enough to see the corpses, but not enough to make out features, unless they were right in front of me. I pushed the gurney, trying to remember which specimen we were on. What is it, specimen 240? No, that was yesterday. Today is 241? Yeah, 241. Moments that felt like years passed. The only thing breaking the silence being the squeaking of the gurney's broken wheel. Annoying, yes, but I'd take that over dead silence of the room. Finally, I came up to the specimen 241. The one was just like the last. Oh my god, sorry, there was a weird comma there. One was just like the last, a body, in immaculate condition, though this time it seemed less decayed, with a deeper indentation of a clawed-out rectangle in its chest. It was heavy, too, forcing me to slam it under the gurney, rather than placing it gently. I sighed, turning the gurney around to leave the mortuary, only to feel the hairs on the back of my neck rise. Something was behind me. I turned around, watching a corpse push itself out of its corn container, its bones popping and cracking as it turned to look at me. I backed up, pushing the cart behind me as I kept my eyes on the corpse. You want to?
Yeah, just read that one.
You want me to read this one? Okay. Corpse. Its body only barely illuminated by the catwalk's lights. With every step I took back, it took one larger step forward, closing the distance slowly.
Nah, fuck this, I said, turning to sprint away with my specimen. Pushing it along toward the elevator, the squeaking of the wheels and the slamming of my feet against the hard grates of the walkway were barely audible over the stomping behind me. It wasn't just one pair of footsteps, but 5, 10, dozens, clambering and sprinting toward me. The gurney continued to fight against me, its broken wheel pulling me toward the corpse containers to my right. Fuck, almost there, I said, nearing the elevator, only to be bathed in sudden, complete darkness. The lights of the catwalk had turned off. My body flooded with adrenaline, my heart pounding faster and faster, obscuring my thoughts, making it harder to keep the gurney straight. I felt it pull suddenly to the right, my body tripping over it as it swerved. My body slammed into the grated floor just as the stampede of corpses began to reach me. They moaned and screamed, their voices lost through the noise, as only a few words made it through to me. Traitor! Liar! Run! Escape! Not too late! Their bodies piling over me as their hands attempted to tear my hazmat suit off of me to get to the flesh beneath. I screamed, curling into a ball, shielding my head as I felt the weight of the corpses getting larger and larger. I could feel their rotten nails finally make it under my hazmat suit helmet, starting to pull it off. Then I heard a ding. The weight vanished as I felt a light on my face. My eyes opened to Daryl, shining a light in my eyes. Where he got it, I don't know, but it pierced through the darkness like a spear. I turned down the walkway, expecting to see an army of corpses, only to see them all back in their containers. What the fuck? I said, my voice cracking as I turned to Daryl. You need to leave. You shouldn't be here, Daryl said, still shining the light in my face. My fear quickly turned into anger. Dude, shut up. I wouldn't be here if you did your job and got the corpse yourself, I shot back, turning to pick up the gurney, then the corpse that had fallen from it. Tomorrow, it's your turn, I said, watching the catwalk lights turn back on. And get that light out of my face, I said, turning back around, only to see Daryl had vanished again. This fucker, I muttered, quickly calling the elevator. Yeah, okay, you just disappeared. Get this fucker. I quickly calling the elevator, and I was surprised to see the doors immediately open. He must have sent it back down somehow, I said, wheeling the gurney into the elevator. I made a note to check the ship's oxygen levels at the helm after today's experiment. Hallucinations are more common in space than you would think, due to oxygen levels being a bit funky. But something wasn't right. The elevator doors closed as the elevator pulled me upward to the lab.
The elevator shuddered open. The experimentation lab's white, refreshing cleanliness was a welcome change from the rest of the ship. My body moved on autopilot, placing the corpse on the table, strapping it in, then taking my place behind the main controls. I turned to my right to look at Daryl. His silence was unnerving. Dude, You really need to stop disappearing like that. I said, I said angrily, waiting for a response. You shouldn't be here, Daryl responded, keeping his eyes on the recording station. You shouldn't be such a piece of shit, but it looks like we're both not getting what we want today. I snapped back, getting ready to speak into the microphone to begin the experiment. This is Daniel Renderos.
Yes, I think so.
And we're not starting phase 2 testing for the specimen 241 now. Jesus, I don't know why I said not. Shelby, please play the corpse's songs immediately. Despacito.
God. Make you wither, bro. Dry out. Jesus.
My bad.
Yeah.
Playing the corpse's songs like Daniel Renderos responded Shelby joyfully. The sounds came out crisper than they ever had before. Thus began another 2 hour of chanting music in foreign languages. My body shaking with anticipation, though this time it was different, ending with the phrase, oh god, Enubus I am hic manautubis asabite hos bas.
To the souls already remaining here, accept this vessel, so it's a little different than last time.
Oh, what the hell? I don't like that. It's getting a little supernatural.
Little culty.
Little cult. I mean, he's been talking about the triangles, and I think triangles are sometimes like cult symbols and shit like that.
Okay.
I don't really can't remember. I don't know, something like that.
Sure.
I lost where I was. Just like last time, the corpses woke up, attempting to break out of its restraints to claw at its chest. Unfortunately for it, I tied it well today, preventing it from breaking free. It turned to me to scream, only to fall silent, a grin appearing on its face. Ugh. Just how can I help you? It asked, its voice a merge of a woman, men, and children speaking at once. Before I could answer, a piece of paper began printing from the console before me. A list of questions. Questions coming from the Charon Company. Where have you been? I asked. Oh, here, there. Hard to come back when we've been thrown so far away. The corpse responded, grinning happily. I continued. Are our forms no longer to be your liking? Like they're like, what's that?
They're forms, yeah. Are our forms no longer to your liking? Like human form, like body shape.
Did he say that, or did the corpse say that?
Main character. He's reading the questions.
That's such a weird question. Okay. They still very much are, though others would find them disgusting compared to the far prettier original forms he gave us. The corpse responded. So I'm wondering if it's like aliens or like some sort of demon now.
Well, the planet in the first one, the planet kind of got like fucked. Like 80% of the planet or 80% of the population got like evaporated, and like the planet went missing, a big chunk of it. And I'm assuming that I'm guessing got like transported somewhere because they said they got blown away. So that's my guess. It was taken, or maybe just a little slice of humanity was taken away, like the little slice of the planet instead of the 80%.
So like,
the 20%.
but where I'm just curious where this comes into play now, if like, because he's like the corpse is talking like his form, so like he wasn't a human.
Yeah, okay. It could be like spirits and stuff.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, but like the way he, like they still very much are, though others would find them disgusting compared to the far prettier original forms
He gave us, yeah.
So that feels like he wasn't a human before.
Maybe.
And he gave us. So like, what does that mean? Like,
there's something inhabiting the body.
Yeah, I know
like,
that, but like he suggests there's like a higher power. You know what I mean?
Or maybe maybe they've done this before. It's just they're trying to reconnect with this thing since the planet got fucked, right?
I don't know.
And now they're actually here. So I don't.
I think
We'll
it's
figure it out.
I think there's like some sort of like hive mind shit going on right now.
That'd be pretty cool. Did you read this part already?
I think maybe. What happened to Shelby Morrison? I asked. I think I did.
She fulfilled her duty in destroying the only gift humanity has received. For that, you're made sure she's immortalized. The next question shook me. I'm not a religious man, but why would the Sharon Company ask such a bizarre question? Will we still be able to go to heaven? You still can, Daniel. Want to fix that? You'll find cementing your soul to be an interesting experience. The corpse responded, pulling against its restraints. I turned back to the paper, reading the last question. Will you tell us it what we shouldn't know? I asked, my hands shaking as I looked at the corpse. If you pulled out corpse 244 like you were supposed to today, I would have. But we can try. Corpse said back, its jaws starting to unhinge as screams began erupting from its mouth. My hands went to my ears, shielding them from what it was screaming about. I fell to my knees as the screams pierced through my hands and wormed their way into my mind, my brain trying to decipher what it was hearing. I watched as Daryl walked away from his post, unbothered by the screams of the corpse. He said something to it as he hit the eject button on the console, the table and the corpse falling into the void of space below the ship. My hands unclasped from my ears, my brain still reeling, unable to comprehend what it had heard. I turned to Daryl, confused by how unbothered he was by the screaming corpse, or the things we'd learned. He turned to me, uttering the same thing he'd been saying all morning. You shouldn't be here, he said, walking away from the console toward the elevator. Before the doors closed, I could hear him say, You're running out of time. The oxygen levels are looking low. You should check up on that. The doors closed with a loud, whirring sound, and just like that, I was alone in the lab, more confused than ever. The silence only interrupted by Shelby happily saying, Next time, pull out the right corpse, Daniel. I wanted 244, not 241. We'll try again tomorrow, and this time, do it right. Or else. Screw the pay, screw the mystery, screw Shelby, and most of all, screw Daryl for ditching me. I wasn't going to sit around and wait to see what happened, or see what the next corp was going to tell us. I was going to get off of this ship, even if it kills me. I sprinted to the elevator, as Shelby taunted me from the ship's speakers. Oh no, is someone scared? Daryl was very accepting of us. He hear you run away with your tail between your legs.
She cackled from... No,
okay.
no, it's my... Shh, I got it. She cackled from the speakers. I wouldn't hear it, though. An escape plan already forming in my mind. I needed to swing by the helm to force Shelby to unlock the escape pods, be it via a command on her terminal, or through crowbar to her servers. The elevator struggled as as it pulled me up. The sound of metal scraping against metal filling the room. It would periodically slow its ascent, as if something under the elevator was pulling it back down to the experimentation room. Come on, come on, I muttered, clicking the floor one button repeatedly. Watching the floor monitor turn around 4 to 3. Let's see. Watching the floor monitor turn from 4 to 3 to 2 1. God damn it. 2 2 1. The floors opened as I heard a loud snap echo in my ears. I didn't have enough time to process the sound before my stomach leapt into my throat. My feet loosening their grip on the floor. I had entered a free fall. Oh.
Damn.
I screamed as the elevator plummeted downward, passing floor 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. I braced for impact, but the elevator picked up speed. The floor numbers increased into nonsense. The lights flickered, dimmed, even blinked, making it harder to right myself in the chaos. I scanned the elevator, searching for an emergency stop. I'll tell you about that after. An exit hatch. Anything before the bottom of the elevator shaft would decide to appear. Instead, I found Daryl watching me. This motherfucker, bro. Like I was a wounded dog on the side of the road. He stood in the corner of the elevator, unaffected by the free fall or the chaos. Daryl? I said, desperately trying to grip onto something as I floated into the center of the elevator. Daryl started to speak, but I could barely hear him over the screeching metal, only making out one word through the noise: run. I repeated to him before my chest slammed into the hard metal floor. Pain shot through my body as I struggled to flip myself over, my body sparking and jolting with pain. I could feel my heartbeat pounding behind my eyes, each pulse trying to force my eyes out of their sockets. I groaned and checked myself for damage. Yep, that's a broken rib, I muttered as the pain throbbed in my chest. I looked up, seeing I was on floor 1, the helm. The doors opened with Shelby's server racks greeting me, their warm exhaust flooding the elevator. They were accompanied, however, by a strange screeching noise. Scratching. Coming from... Jesus Christ. Coming from somewhere behind. The console. I need to get to the console, I said, pushing myself up as I limped over to Shelby's center terminal. Jeez, I'm fucking struggling.
I've been struggling a little bit as well. Don't you worry.
Before I could begin reading the numerous lines of text on the screen, Shelby's voice blared from the ship's speakers. Daniel? What are you doing here? Why are you checking my console when I can help you with anything you need? No need for my console, Daniel. I'm right here, she said, her voice urging me to look away. But it was too late. The standard output was showing me everything she was doing, everything she wanted to say, and what she was doing to the ship.
Specimen 240 has caused employees to engage in entities unable to be picked up on camera. Specimen was ejected, but was not detected by the ship's outside cameras. Scritch, scratch, scritch. There was that damn scratching again, louder than before. I glued my eyes to the console, trying to ignore the pain radiating from my rib. Oxygen levels decreasing due to multiple puncture marks around ship hull. Please hold until the Sharon Company is contacted for next steps. Scritch, scratch, scratch. Starting distress beacon. Controls and crew no longer contactable. Contacting the Sharon Company to assess and determine viability of vessel. Scritch, scratch, scritch, scritch, scratch, scritch. Distress beacon received. Viability of vessel no longer salvageable. Detect any escape pods and destroy original vessel. Mission failure due to phenomenon leakage. Scritch, scratch, scritch, scritch, scratch, scritch. Please have employee find cause of scratching noise in helm before continuing standard output. More text flew down the screen, but the scratching from behind the reinforced glass only grew louder and more violent. I tore myself away from the console and began searching for its source, wondering just what could be causing it. Each tower rack stood around 10 feet tall, each emitting a mix of beeps and whirring of cooling fans. There were so many of them, it was impossible to get between them, only allowing me a small glimpse of the outside of the ship between each rack. The first allowed me to see a gorgeous, far-off spiral galaxy, the black hole in the center almost staring back at me. The second was a multitude of stars blinking and twinkling. The third was a multitude of hands, all scratching at the glass, small cracks beginning to appear. The fourth I found a tower of eyes of different shapes and colors. Some were bloodshot, others were stained yellow with disease. They all stared at me with a different, with different emotions, happily, angrily, but most stared at me with a look of hunger, as if I was their next meal. I couldn't make out the rest of the creature's form, obscured by the Shelby's towering server rack. The scratching intensified as the eyes shuddered, each splitting horizontally to form a mouth filled with razor-sharp teeth. Found you. All the mouths whispered in unison, the scratching morphing into the sound of a drill biting into metal.
The console beeped loudly as a new urgent message came in. I ran back to it, ignoring the spikes of pain shooting through my broken rib. Warning, recently ejected phenomenon appears to have escaped constraints and is attempting to enter the helm. Please evacuate immediately. Evacuate. A loud whirring.
Like,
Oh. Noise filled the helm. Dude, shut up, bro. As the creature started to make its attempt to breach into the ship. Daniel, I would suggest you leave immediately. I have released the locks on the escape pods, as crew personnel have been confirmed alive. What about Daryl? I asked, choking back pain. He'd want his body returned to his family. Daryl's last location was in the crew quarters, although his life signs have been inconclusive since yesterday. I again suggest an immediate departure from the vessel. Please exit the helm immediately, as decompression is expected to occur within the next minute. I nodded and hustled my broken body back to the elevator, pressing the down button. I looked back at Shelby's server rack on the last time as the elevator doors closed. I used to curse her for blocking the view of the cosmos. Though right now I was grateful she shielded me from whatever monster was outside. So wait, the thing's in space?
Yes, I'm assuming all the corpses have gathered and they made this big thing.
Ugh.
Because as they ejected it, or them.
The elevator shook as the helm began decompression, the floor one light dimming to show that it was no longer accessible. I needed to get Daryl quickly, or whatever breached the ship would make its way down the elevator shaft and catch up to me. The doors opened, and I limped down the expanding corridors, the walk feeling even longer than before. Turning the corner, I saw a steady stream of blood flowing out of the already open crew quarters door. I swallowed hard and entered. The room was littered with smashed vinyl, broken hard drives, snapped CDs, and shredded papers that blanketed the floor. Daryl had leaned back against the wall, in his final moments, his body melting into the surrounding area. His flesh had turned into mold that had grown across the walls and into the vents.
Ah, yuck.
Daryl was obviously dead. No shit, bro.
Nah, yeah, really?
His eyes gray, his mouth agape, and a large rectangular black hole gaping into the center of his chest. It felt like I could reach into it. My arm incidentally drifting toward
Instinctively.
Instinctively drifting toward it. Daryl, clearing his throat behind me, snapped me out of my trance. I said you shouldn't come. Now you've seen me, so leave before it gets you too, he said in a monotone voice, his arm rising to point towards the exit of the room. I tried to respond, but was cut off as what felt like 1,000 hands pulled at my hazmat suit, dragging me back towards Daryl's corpse. Shreds of loose paper flew around the room, all being sucked into the hole in his chest.
I tried to turn around and run, but I felt two searing eyes burning into me from Daryl's dead body. I turned and watched as the abyss in his chest looked back at me, its cold void seeping into my mind, clawing between the folds of my brain as if searching for a place to live. The void formed in my eyes, crystallizing inside as needles, scraping my retinas with their sharp points. I began to scream, feeling my hands drifting towards my chest, tearing open my hazmat suit and scraping the flesh, forming two parallel horizontal lines in my chest. I tried to resist, but that the void had claimed my body. It whispers, now attempting to claim my mind as well. I had tried to break eye contact with Daryl, but my body, unresponsive, all I could do was feel my fingers making two new parallel vertical lines, completing the rectangle on my chest. They then began scraping away the flesh within it, each scrape digging deeper and deeper. As if by a stroke of good luck, a fresh sheet, one Daryl didn't shred, flew in front of me as it made its way into the void of Daryl's chest. The paper obstructed my view of Daryl's corpse, the words on the paper burning into my mind. I didn't have time to process what I was forced to learn as the void's control faltered, allowing me to turn away from Daryl's body. I felt the needles in my eyes melt, the void vanishing within my mind and body as I collapsed onto the cold floor. I forced myself up, blood dripping from the rectangular wound on my chest. I ran down the hall, my mind struggling to comprehend what was injected into it. I stumbled into the elevator, slamming the escape pod floor, and waited as laughter echoed throughout the ship. When the doors finally dinged open, I could feel my chest itching, my hands scratching the bloody wound in my chest. I sprinted towards one of the two escape pods. It opening with a hiss as I approached. I sealed myself inside, feeling my stomach drop one last time as the ship ejected me into the void of space. I was safe, and within the next few hours a rescue ship should arrive. I scratched at my chest. It was just so itchy though. Or it was just so itchy, though I could feel my body melting as the stress of the ship slipped away. I had escaped. I felt both my hands ravenously clawing at my chest, allowing a large rectangular hole to appear. I had escaped. I felt my feet slowly melt into the bottom of the pod, allowing my body to take up permanent residence within it. I had escaped. The wound in my chest finally stopped itching. My arms joined my melting body as I heard laughter coming from within the dark, gaping wound of my chest. I should have escaped. That was sick. That was like awesome eldritch horror shit. Fucking, I love this like genre.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah, let me fucking set up here. I had a couple things I wanted to say. I'd say, okay, so his end was really strong.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
the last like four, so I'm assuming the end part was because he sent us to his middle and he sent us his end.
I think so.
Yeah. So his end was really strong.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like he put a lot more time and thought into his end. His middle was kind of all over the place. Like, it just, like, I was kind of lost for a lot of it. Because it felt like we were jumping between stuff a lot, where in the first part of the story it felt like very clear and to the point, like we knew something was going on, we didn't know what, so we're wondering, and then like he's kind of like slowly giving us pieces, but here he kind of just was kind of like dumping stuff on us and then like kind of moving on.
Yeah.
Like with the corpse and all the fucking voices coming through and all this shit, like that kind of just felt like out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden at one point God gets brought up.
And then we see like Daryl teleporting around.
Yeah,
and
Daryl
shit.
teleporting around everywhere, which is weird. Like, I understand, like, you're trying to imply that he's dead and he's a spirit, but like, but I already was kind of wondering if he was a part of his imagination. But then you kind of explained he was alive at one point. I almost feel like it would have been better if he wasn't. You know what I mean? Like, he was just a corpse on this ship that maybe this guy was working here by himself, and this is a corpse he kind of like reminded him of an old friend he had named Daryl. And it was just like a corpse he was talking to.
In his room.
I think that would have been almost like a more, it would have made a little more sense. Not really sense. It just kind of would have fit in more than Daryl kind of just being all over the place everywhere all the time.
Fair.
Because obviously you're trying to imply he's dead. but like you were almost like overdoing it to the point where it's like, well, we get it, like he's dead, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like who the fuck just teleports?
Yeah. Like as soon as we saw him in the, I guess in the hallway, like he appeared for a second. I was like, okay, he's dead. That's what passed through my mind. Um, but then I guess we see later that the thing had gotten to him, and then he melted himself. Like he dug a hole in his chest, melted himself to the fucking room, and then I guess his spirit was floating around the ship.
Yeah, it just felt like you definitely spent more time on your ending than you did with your middle. That's kind of what it feels like. Or not even spent more time with it. You just had you had a really good idea for your start, and then you had a really good idea for your ending, but you didn't know how to connect them well in the middle.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it felt like. Which, like, that's not a big deal. Like, honestly, you can come back to this and kind of clear up some stuff. I'm trying to find a good example here.
Let me look. Hey, why'd the ship go super cold all of a sudden? What's that about?
Yeah, the ship going cold. I'm assuming that has something to do with the entities in the ship. You know, when they say there's a spirit in the room, it gets cold.
Oh yeah.
I'm assuming that had something to do with it. Maybe the entity was so strong that it was so cold, like just the overwhelming spirit presence.
Yeah.
There's another thing, where the corpse brought up, the bodies thing. But then you brought up God. So, like, I'm a little confused as if, are you meaning... So, is this creature of another world or another realm? Or is this creature a representation of the devil and demons?
What I got was it's like an eldritch thing, like an eldritch sort of, I wouldn't say infection, kind of. It's just like what you said earlier, like the hive mind, like an eldritch hive
So
mind
kind of like
situation.
kind of like a Cthulhu-esque type thing, right?
Yeah.
Which is cool. That's really cool. There's just like, I feel like if you made that a little more clear in some spots, and like you don't have to like paint a whole picture for us, obviously, but if you just cleared up some of the stuff in the middle, I think if you work on your build up a little bit, it would help. Maybe make it a little less obvious that Daryl's dead. I think it was way too obvious that he was dead. Like when he had him teleporting around and stuff.
Yeah.
I thought that was weird. The cold room start, like just jumping into that. Maybe if you cleared that up a little bit, like it just felt very weird. And
the ship wasn't listening to him until like the end for some reason.
Yeah, I don't really know what was up with that. I don't know, there's just some things that were confusing to me. If you want, I could definitely like sit down and talk to you more about this if you wanted to. Like you have me on like the Reddit and stuff, so if you want to reach out to me after you listen to this or whatever and talk to me about it or anything, feel free to. Or if you just want to comment down below and maybe you just like explain anything, or if you have anything you want to ask from us, or maybe something maybe we didn't understand it properly, anything like that, because you know, sometimes we can get a little carried away when we're reading and sometimes you miss things, right?
Yeah.
So we'll definitely do that. I will say there is some spelling mistakes, also not a big deal, just
yeah, it happens,
just needs to be cleaned up a little bit. But overall, very cool. I would love to know more about the creature in the world and stuff. I want to know more. But did the character die? He didn't die, right?
When you see Daryl, he's like melted and like mold and all that stuff. He's melded to the wall, and he's got the hole in his chest. That happened to our main character in the escape pod. So he's getting sent towards a ship, or ship's coming towards him, and they're gonna open this, and this is gonna continue spreading to the civilization, I guess.
Oh, okay.
I'm guessing. So like, he almost got away with it. Basically, at the end, he said he escaped, and he's like, "Oh, I'm melting into this ship, it's so comfortable." And it's like, "Oh, he's fucked, right?" And he's itching at his chest. He's like, "Okay, like, yeah, it got to him." Like,
that's
still
kind
in his mind.
of that's kind of like the movie Life. You ever seen the movie Life?
No.
No, I wonder if he took any inspiration from that. He might have. I have to ask him. But like, That yeah, it was still overall very cool. I like the premise. I like the monster. Just like I said, I think it needs to be fleshed out a little more.
Yeah.
It just needs a little more care. I think you just need to go over this, maybe change up some of the scenes.
Put a little bit of a band-aid on
You
the
could,
middle part.
yeah, you could definitely fatten it up a little bit too in the middle. Like just, I don't even know if you need to fatten it up, but like if you just explain some more stuff, or you don't really need to explain it, just add some more stuff. That's about it. I'd have to like sit in a call with you to go over it because like it is a cool story and there's just so many layers to it that I'd have to like sit there and unpeel. So like it's just
Fair. I love the theme as well.
yeah, the theme's sick.
Sci-fi, cosmic horror, and like the eldritch hive mind thing where it's like you just melt. You get a little rectangle in your chest, and like that's how it looks at you and like fucks with your brain.
Yeah,
It's
it's
so
really
sick.
cool. It's definitely like he definitely took some inspo from some people, but it's still cool that he kind of made your own thing with it.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's all I really have to say right now. Again, if you have anything you want to ask from us or any questions, or if you want me to like go into detail to like help you out a little bit more too, just ask me. But anyways, that's all from us today. If
Yep.
you guys made it, oh, sorry, what?
So I was going to say we have to say for the fucking YouTube thing to like and subscribe
Oh,
and
yeah,
comment.
yeah. If you guys want to do that, you guys can do that. If you don't want to do that, that's
Yeah.
fine too. All right, guys. It was nice seeing you guys again, or well, I guess not seeing you guys again. Whatever.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. That's all from us today.